Hey, everybody, we're back. It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. The boys are back with another edition of the Squared Slice. I am your friendly neighborhood soda, joined by, after a vacation, Dustin 2.0. How are you doing?
Multiple vacations. Well, I figured
you
with this time off, I would come back 2.0 NXT style, a whole new Dustin in a whole new room. Actually, it's the same room. It's just been redecorated, just
Yeah.
like the NXT set. So it kind of fits.
Nice. How have you been over these past few weeks?
I have been splendid. I am tan because I spent the time on the beach in Florida. So I enjoyed that. So you're welcome. I'm sure you were on the beach in the last couple of weeks. So
No, I'm in the Pacific
maybe
Northwest in the rain. That's where I'm at.
Man, yeah, I know. Well, flying back to the upper part of the country was less than fun, but yeah, it was nice. So, how about yourself? How have you been?
It's been a fun time, mostly wet because, like I said, it's been raining a lot here. But I've been passing my time doing these shows, and past few weeks, I'm finding myself watching more wrestling. Like before, with like the WWE stuff, I would be like following on Twitter or whatever. But now I've got a coworker who likes it just as much as I do, so I started watching all the shows, and we're live texting and things. So that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Well, and isn't that kind of just to get into it, like modern pro wrestling? Isn't that almost because so less people watch it now?
Yeah.
They do. It's I think a fact just based off everything we know about wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
That less people watch it. So it's kind of like you and I, how we became friends, is because it's like, oh my gosh, I have other people to talk to this about.
Yeah, and
I mean,
I've
really
never
is.
had that. I've never had that in a work environment ever. Well, I kind of did a little bit when I lived in Vancouver, but it was more like casual fans who were trying to talk to me about it. But yeah, it's amazing having somebody in my private life like I'm able to finally talk to this shit about. And our coworkers are always rolling their eyes at us because, oh shit, they're talking wrestling again. But yeah, it's awesome.
I know the feeling. I have two buddies, and it's funny. We're all at different like combat sport categories. I'm the wrestling guy. I have a buddy who's a boxing guy, and then my other buddy's an MMA guy.
Yeah.
So like when we get in a car, it's funny. Like you can just feel like somebody will be like, "Well, yeah, did you watch whatever in the UFC?" Because I don't follow it, so I have no idea what the hell's going on. And then we'll somehow jam all three of them together in one conversation.
Nice.
We're like, well, in the WWE, the champion over here did this, and then the other guy's like, well, did you see Jake Paul? Then we start talking about Jake and Logan Paul because they're both involved in some way. It's just like, this is so ridiculous. That's as close as I can get in a face-to-face level.
Like me and this buddy, it's funny because while he does enjoy AEW, he's a staunch WWE guy. Like, obviously because that's what his wife likes to watch, and he's got a young kid now. So I mean, that kind of helps get into it. But we were watching Extreme Rules this past weekend, and we started getting into it, like having a verbal conversation. His wife just gets up and rolls her eyes. It's like, shit. She goes, takes care of the baby, she comes back. She's like, "Are you two still at it?" It's like a good 5 minutes.
Of course, I have a buddy of mine who was and I've mentioned him a few times on the show that he was a indie pro wrestler for years, and him and I text him more than anybody else in my life.
Really?
And every day we talk, and it's always about wrestling. Mm-hmm. Like my wife will do the wife thing where she's like, "How is he doing anyway?" I'm like, good. She's like, "Well, don't you know?" I'm like, "No, I have no idea. I have honestly no idea."
I forgot
he
to
could
ask,
literally be in a hospital bed, and I would have no idea because all we do is talk wrestling every single day about something.
Jesus.
So yeah, it's ridiculous. But again, it's because I found that one person. Mm-hmm. And him and I aren't close to each other. So it's just like, well, if I can't see you at work every day, I'm going to have to text you about it.
Yeah. No, and it's perfect. Like my buddy, he just lives like literally down the hill from me. So it takes me 5 minutes to walk to his place. So we alternate pay-per-views. He comes over to my place. He's going to be coming over to my place for AEW because I'm going to pay for it. Obviously he won't, but yeah, we are alternating WWE pay-per-views. So it's pretty cool actually having finally somebody to watch it with. And if I'm going to be honest, we've been so embarrassed with the riches that we've gotten this past summer that it makes it easy to fall in love with wrestling again.
It has this last couple months, and really this past month, and it's not even just AEW. WWE has also kicked it into this weird gear. Like I watched most of Raw this week, and and Raw has by far the worst of the 4 shows. Well, I mean, I guess if you're throwing Rampage in there, which I just do not watch because I just don't have the time to get to Rampage.
Well,
so
it's only an hour, so
it's only an hour, and people say it's a quick hour. I've only watched the first one, but I just can't. It's tough. Wrestling, there's a lot of wrestling out there. Which there's just so much.
And if I'm going to be honest, the one I would drop would be Monday Night Raw. But yeah, the last few weeks have just been
it is the one I drop. It's always, and Raw has been brutal, and me and you have talked about it on here. It's just, and I'm a WWE defender, like I am, but even I watch Raw, and I just am like, this is a slog.
Yeah, it's that third hour. But lately, the way they've been booking it, it's like they give you a tease at the beginning, and then you just tune in because you want to see when it's going to be the main event. Like you're just so invested in that particular storyline. Like last week, it was last week where they're like, oh, we're gonna have the Bloodline versus the New Day to kick off the show, and you're like, what? And then shenanigans happen there, and they're like, okay, we're gonna have a triple threat: Bobby Lashley, Roman Reigns, and Big E. And you're like, holy shit! This is right there makes you want to stay.
Yeah. Well, and it's super interesting. I guess before we even jump the gun, is the Big E championship win was awesome. I mean,
100%.
That is, and it felt good. And it like, I know people got on it because people were like, "Oh, it's WWE just throwing Big E." First off, they were going up against the Green Bay Packers. It's not Monday Night Football season here in the States. Like I told you, I switched between
quality.
Of course, that's what they have to go against the biggest the biggest entertainment conglomerate in at least the United States for 17 weeks. And I even texted you tonight. When I watch Raw now, I now will watch Raw more because football's on, because I'm going to watch football. And between football, I will shoot back on commercial breaks. And then to me, I'm probably the person that and I'm a diehard wrestling fan, but I just like Monday nights is like the number one time I watch football besides when my team plays. It's like literally I get to watch my team play, and then because I have a family, I watch no other football. And then, but Monday nights, it's my wife's worked, and then I watch football, and then I go, oh yeah, click over to wrestling, and then it's almost like, can WWE stop me from jumping back?
Now, don't get me wrong, there still are some things in there that that could be better, but I mean, just the overall, they're doing things now that make you want to stay.
Yes, I agree. I'm also pumped that Hurt Business is now back.
Me too.
Oh,
I mean, I love that they teased it a couple weeks ago, but now it's just like, okay, what are the possibilities we could get? Like on Raw, we're probably going to get the Hurt Business versus the New Day, which is awesome. Now are we going to get like a triple threat 9-man tag match, like between the New Day, the Bloodline, and the Hurt Business? Like that would be pretty baller at Survivor Series. Would be.
Oh yeah, I never thought. Well, the big thing is I guess we'd go into is the draft is this week.
Yes,
that's interesting. Like
it is, but I from what I'm hearing, like Roman Reigns is going to stay on SmackDown, which means Big E's probably is going to be officially on Raw.
Yeah, well, and we all know that SmackDown's has the big Fox deal.
Yeah,
Fox
of course
wants big Roman, Brock, Becky, these Edge. Even though I heard the rumor that Edge might be going to Raw,
wouldn't be so bad.
SmackDown needs these. SmackDown wants these people. That's
for sure.
That's how it is. But
and SmackDown is the better show right now.
Again, we've said this before. To me, SmackDown is the best wrestling that you can watch in America right now. I think I get why AEW is hot and has really good parts, but I think as a whole, SmackDown is just really good. And it probably helps that Roman, to me, is the best guy going, like on a weekly basis, and how important he feels. He feels so important.
Oh, 100%. Like he is untouchable right now.
That's why.
Okay, show overall, I'd say SmackDown is the best one. But if I'm looking at wrestling wise, I would still say AEW is better. But like as a whole show, I'll go with SmackDown.
Sure.
Yeah. So
because I think it blends what it needs to blend well enough. That's what I think.
Yeah, of course. And what's funny, it's the same writers as Raw. I don't get it.
Yeah. Sorry, I think you cut out. I didn't hear that last part.
Oh, I said it's funny that it's the same writers as Raw. Go figure.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's never made any sense. I don't know.
But speaking of shows, we also had the Revamp of NXT, as alluded to your name here. Now going into it, did you feel like there was needed for a reboot, a rebrand of sorts?
I don't know. I don't know. Not really. Did you? I don't have a good answer to that. Not really.
No, I didn't. But like anything else, like I was willing to see where it goes. But yeah, personally, I seem to be one of the few that actually liked that look. Like I liked it because
Yeah,
it felt
so did
like
I.
underground. It felt like what Raw Underground should have been.
Yep.
And the wrestling was banger and stuff like that. But you know what? I've been watching NXT every week since the reboot because I'm actually enjoying myself.
Right. And I like the fact that, you know, a lot of people kind of got on that first episode of NXT 2.0 because, you know, they did throw a lot at you. Like, a lot of new faces, a lot of new talent. And people are going, like, who the hell are these people? I'm like, well, that's kind of the point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a training facility. And then it kind of turned into not that. And now I think they're going back to that. Like, here's a bunch of kind of people you don't know. Let's try it out.
What I wish had happened was it would have made. I wish NXT the way it got would have made Vince McMahon realize, oh, maybe this is what the fans want. But alas, we didn't get that. But in all honesty, like I'm enjoying these new guys. Like obviously, number one on the list is Braun Breaker because that guy is a stud. Like
He's a stud.
Look at him. He's got a genetic freak in his family. Like. For those of you who don't know, Braun Breaker is the son of the dog-faced gremlin Rick Steiner, and he's his son. You can hands down tell he's his son.
It looks just like
a clothesline exactly like him.
He does. It's crazy, but he's huge.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Rick Steiner was a big dude, but his son is a freak.
Is a freak, and he sounds exactly like his uncle Scott.
Yeah.
Like you close your eyes, it's pretty damn close, which is amazing.
That is what is amazing. Is like even listening to like the Jim Cornette's podcast, he's raving him, and he can't believe that this guy who has like really he was never really on the indie scene. He just kind of showed up in NXT, has a couple months of training. Sure, he is the son of Rick Steiner, so there's gonna be be stuff there. But then, he shows up on TV and immediately he's capturing pretty much that entire show.
Yeah, he's a star. Like all he did was walk out, and he was a star. Like he's all anybody's talking about.
On NXT, he is. He is what people are talking about.
The only thing though is the name, man. Like I don't get it because literally the reports going in was, and apparently his Twitter handle was this as well. His name is going to be Rex Steiner because his real name is Bronson Rex Steiner.
Right.
And then, like, the day of, like, literally everyone's going in, like, oh, shit, Rex Steiner is debuting, and all of a sudden, Braun Breaker, and everyone's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, you've got him dressed like a Steiner, he talks like a Steiner, he wrestles like a Steiner, he literally looks like a Steiner. Why not capitalize on that? Like, I'm sure there is a reason for it. Maybe he went, like one of my buddies said, maybe he went up and said, hey, look, I want to try to make it on my own. Fair play. But do you know how much money they're leaving on the table with Steiner line merchandise? Like, come on.
That was my first thought. Like when I read, like you did on Twitter, that they're like, oh, they're going to change his name. I went, I'm okay with this if he tries to be his own person. And then the second you see him, he's wearing his dad's singlet.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense now. Like, if he came in like a completely
different
first
match. They said he's got a dog-faced gremlin mentality. I'm like, oh, come on.
I know. That is the stuff that's sometimes so frustrating about WWE. It's because, again, if you want to bring him in and have him not act like, okay, he's Rick Steiner's dad or son, but he wants to be his own man, and he comes in as like this whole different character, I get it. Change his name. But like you said, why? But I still think, I don't know, man. I think they realized that maybe they messed up. I bet you he's a Steiner by the end of the year.
I would hope so. I really would, because he's going to end up on the main roster. I would hope by that point they're like, okay, my real name is this. But
well, could you imagine listening to like, and again, I usually don't harp on WWE's names, but could you imagine like, gets to Raw and it's Edge versus Braun Breaker. Like that sounds 1995.
That sounds like a Creator Wrestler video game.
It does. It sounds like 1995 WWF.
I'm not gonna lie. Like he's made such a dent that the name at this point is forgivable because he's just so good. He's already pretty damn good on the mic. Yeah, he's a little green around the edges of the ring, but he still has it. He has it.
He has it. It's amazing how even as fans, like you can almost like, and I don't know, man. It's maybe it's because we are so used to these people we've known for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even like taking the indie guys like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, like the fans like us know them.
Yeah.
So when you get a guy who comes off like the street, you're like, who the hell is this guy? And he just shows up and immediately like he grabs you. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And it is a bummer about the name, but no, the dude, it's like you took the best parts of Scott Steiner and you took the best parts of Rick Steiner and boom, there's Braun Breaker.
Oh my gosh. And again, there is so much there. Like, I mean, if they came out with a Steiner line shirt, like with him, I'd buy it.
Me too.
I'd buy it. Like that's an awesome shirt for a new guy. Like this is great stuff. So
I personally hope he breaks out a Frankensteiner at some point.
I want to
see if he can do it
too. I love it.
Yeah.
So my question for you on NXT is,
yes.
What did you think about? Okay, so Samoa Joe, injured again, unfortunately.
Can't catch a fucking break,
dude. There's a reason why he retired for 2 years. He's just his body isn't holding up the way I think he wants it to. Which sucks. So what do you think about him putting the belt on Ciampa? Because to me, I'll let you say it first.
Well, I'm actually okay with it. Because I like Ciampa, but he kind of already was like the de facto face of NXT by going into it pretty much. So it just makes sense that you put the belt on him. Plus, he's been in NXT a really long time. So he could be a great mentor to the kids coming up, which I'm actually pretty excited about him versus Braun Breaker because I think Braun could learn a lot from him. So no, I'm perfectly okay with the belt going on him because outside of LA Knight, it made the most sense. I come around on LA Knight. I hated the name at first, but now that I've been watching him, he's going to be awesome. a multiple-time world champion on the main roster.
There's a couple guys on NXT that have me so excited to anything else. Like I know I say I like SmackDown a lot. AEW has a lot of parts that I like, but the excitement I have for like Braun Breaker, LA Knight, Austin Theory, who I find absolutely entertaining, Odyssey Jones. These people, I'm on the train. Like, let's go. And I haven't felt that way in a while.
I've actually come around on the Hit Row.
Yeah, Hit Row. Yep.
Yeah, and there's rumors that
they're getting call up. Is that what you're gonna say?
That's the word going around is they were talked about being brought up, and I'm like, please go on SmackDown. Please go on SmackDown because I think they would be better on SmackDown than they would on Raw. Because SmackDown, how do I put this? Raw is classic rock. SmackDown is hip hop. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're not wrong.
Yeah. I feel like they would do fine on Raw, but I think SmackDown is the place to be for that.
Yeah. Raw it's I don't even know how to say it. It's stuffy. It feels like stuffy. Like Drew and Lashley and now Goldberg again. And
for the last time for probably.
Please.
Well, it's the last he had going into his title match with Lashley. He had 2 matches left in his contract, and
it's not a surprise now that Goldberg came out saying they're thinking he's going to go to Saudi Arabia because
the money is fat.
Money is there, so of course he's. You know what? If that's his last match, and it's on a Saudi show against Lashley. Who cares?
Yeah, he earned it. He's Goldberg.
But let's make it the last one. But yeah, no, NXT is good. I'm excited. I thought Ciampa was the right choice too. I agree with you. It was a little interesting that you have this show of like all this new, but yet they put the belt on the old, which is
like I said, I'm fine with that from the sense of the mentorship role. You should not put like a green as hell person as your champ if you're relaunching. Right. Ciampa just makes the most sense.
I thought so too, and that was before they even kicked Kyle O'Reilly out of the match via whatever the circumstances. And even then, I was like,
Von Wagner,
random guy, but interesting. But
you know who his dad is, right?
No, I don't think so.
His dad is one half of the jobber tag team to the Stars, the Beverly Brothers, Wayne Bloom.
Oh, really? That's Wayne Bloom's
Oh,
kid?
I think
That
it's Bo Beverly. Yeah, that's his
that
dad.
makes. By the way, I love the Beverleys. They were awesome.
I love the gimmick. I really do love the
I
gimmick.
loved
Yeah.
it. They were always one of them tag teams I liked.
I've always wanted to go back and watch their run as the Minnesota Wrecking Crew in AWA.
Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, there's several second generation stars. There's the Cowboy tag team.
Oh yeah.
Jensen. I think it's Jensen, Nick Jensen. Anyways, one of them, their father is Bull Buchanan.
Oh yeah, I did see that one. I did see that Bull Buchanan's kid was. I'm not gonna lie to you. I saw that his kid was one of them, and then I didn't like.
It didn't register.
That didn't register.
Well, it's because like unlike a Braun Steiner, you're like, yeah, that doesn't fucking Steiner. Other than he sounds like his dad, you wouldn't know that was Bull Buchanan's kid.
Right. Yeah. And nobody really and Bull Buchanan didn't make really a big mark on the whole wrestling industry either. So,
but you still remember him if you were watching in the Attitude Era. You still remember him,
of course,
mostly because of his team with Big Boss Man and the Right to Censor.
Right to Censor. That's always
nobody should ever forget that. That freaking theme song is ingrained in your skull if you're watching live.
It is amazing that gimmick hasn't in a way came back because it would still work.
It would still work, but as shown by the Joe Gacy stuff. Actually, you know what? I think Joe Gacy could be the second coming of that, just from the opposite side.
Yeah. What do you think of the whole Joe Gacy shtick?
Means they did something right.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good idea. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, anything if it's done right should be made fun of. Like, obviously, there are certain things that shouldn't be. Like, as you and I were talking earlier, there's a certain line from MJF's promo that was like, okay, that's a little far.
A little much.
And I never thought I'd say that about MJF ever.
Yeah. I don't know. The Joe Gacy thing will be interesting to see how it plays out. Yeah. The whole going against the liberal folks of America, which it is funny coming from the very, not liberal McMahon's.
Yeah. The old buddy with old Orange Puppet himself.
Yeah. Well, and I think overall the people that are watching, I think the wrestling audience, especially the quote unquote diehards, is overall a liberal audience. So I can see it working.
You think they're overall a liberal audience?
Just the way that's how I perceive it. Maybe I'm wrong. I think the more diehard base is. I think the casual base probably not.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The diehard base is no. Actually, I would argue the opposite. Personally.
Oh, really?
Just from the conversations I've had, the vibe I've gone, I'd say it's a lot, especially in the places I frequent. I'd say it's a more conservative one, actually.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've always looked at it like the PC, very PC in the diehards.
Well. Yes and no, but I mean, I'm on the Discord for the ad-free shows, and there's some people in there where I got a feeling that's kind of the side they lead. And same, I was part of an All Elite Wrestling Facebook group that my buddy invited me to, and I had to unfollow them because there was a lot of conservative-minded crap. So it was so maybe it's a mixture of both, but from what I'm recognizing, it's the far left.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I like your opinion, Soda. You don't have an axe hiding under your jacket, do you? You're not going to give me.
No. Okay. I can't believe they actually put a wedding on TV that didn't end in shenanigans.
Dude, that wedding, I understand. When we speak, if anybody watches this that hasn't seen the NXT wedding from a couple weeks ago on the first show,
you have to.
We know wrestling weddings. We get it. We know WWE stupid stuff. I was so entertained for that 10 minutes.
Oh, God, yeah.
It was so funny. It was legit funny.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The biggest pop of the night was Dexter Lumis speaking for the first time saying, I do. Holy shit, that place came unglued.
People were ready for it. Dexter was one of them characters that, I give WWE credit for one thing, and it doesn't always work. Is when they go for something, they will go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll keep it going. Maybe sometimes longer than it should. But sometimes it works. And I remember Dexter in the beginning, people were like, this is not working.
Were they?
I remember a lot of people talking. I remember reading stuff and people were like, this is, this is just not good. This is not good stuff. Because he was so like, bland because he literally walks. I think his look is awesome.
Oh yeah.
But the fact that he didn't say anything and he just walked around and beat people up, I think people were just like, okay.
When he came in, I wasn't watching NXT when he came in. Like, obviously, I had heard the name Dexter Lumis, but I'm like, I don't just see pictures. I'm like, I don't get it. It wasn't until I actually started full time watching NXT during the pandemic when he was in his program with Cameron Grimes.
That was what sold it.
That's where I was like, I'm in. And then you pair him into the way, and oh my lord, the honeymoon from last night. Oh my god.
Funny.
The pillow fight, Indy Hartwell pretending like she's having an orgasm. Poor old Johnny's in the closet hearing all these things. Comes out squeamish. Dexter's like thumbs up, and he pulls out the fucking condoms. I died.
The condom thing again. It shouldn't be funny, but it is. Like it when you say it out loud, you even like laugh. You're like, this is like stuff that WWE fails at. But this is funny.
That's stuff like in a lot of the raunchy comedies I like is that type of humor, and they nailed it. Johnny Gargano is a perfect foil for Dexter Lumis. Who'd have thought that?
Right. Yeah, and when Johnny in the pandemic started doing the stuff at home, like the vignettes at home with his wife and stuff, that was stuff I didn't know Johnny could do either.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with you, before the pandemic, Johnny Gargano was not somebody that I enjoyed.
Really? I loved him, but I just didn't know him outside of being Johnny Wrestling. I didn't know what he could do.
Maybe that's why I'm a WB guy. I need more than a guy who's a good wrestler. It doesn't grab me very often, and that's why I wasn't into it. I was like, oh, okay, he's a good wrestler. I get it. But other than that, to me, he's Johnny Gargano. But
really, his stuff with Ciampa after they split didn't get you?
I mean, he's still just a bad guy wrestler. I don't know.
I was talking the first split.
Oh, the first split? Yeah.
The first split.
Okay. I was thinking the second split. Yeah, that's right. I don't know. Never got me. But now I do, because now he's got a personality and he's goofy, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me how much of NXT is working for me. Because
to be honest, that's how I felt about the New Day at first. It took me a long time to get on the New Day train. But now I don't think I'm ever getting off.
It is amazing. It is amazing how this is still going. Like today, some like on WWE, like on Facebook, posted 7 years ago, New Day did this, and I went, holy shit! They've been around
a long time.
Well, and how many times have people said like it's time to stop? Like, I mean, even I bet you about before the pandemic, I was like, we got to be done. Like, please stop this.
My thing was, I'm tired of seeing them be tag champs. That was my thing.
Right. Well, I thought
every time you turned on the TV, oh look, they're champions once again. Like,
right. Well, I thought when Kofi won the title, and like they came back from that, I was like, this is it. Like, use this reason as a reason to break these guys up. And I was really on it for a while. Like, I was like, this has got to end, because I don't want to sound like ridiculous, but I was really wanting Big E to be the champ like 4 years ago.
I think a lot of people were, but to me, it feels like that build up to Kofi Mania and him winning is finally what, like, I know a lot of people like the New Day, love the New Day, but I think that's what brought them to that next level. They already had the accolades, but I think that put them into the, I don't want to say immortal status, but definitely the legendary status.
Oh, who was it? Was it like Booker T or something the other day said like he now believes that New Day is like the best like tag team faction in like the modern history.
They surpassed the Freebirds.
I saw that.
For a 3-man group like that.
I mean, if you want to, and remember when they were like 4 or 5 years ago when they were like so hot, the amount of merchandise they were selling.
Oh yeah, and I think they still are selling a lot of merchandise.
For God's sakes.
Like, those guys don't ever have to work.
Oh, again. I'm sure they are, but never. And that's when like people that would tell me like they should split up, and I would like agree, but I'm like, why would they? They're still cashing huge checks.
Yeah, who
on that team wants to go? You know what? Right. Who on that team wants to go? Oh, I'm gonna hit you with a chair, and I'm gonna stop taking the merchandise checks because nobody's gonna buy my stuff anymore.
Yeah, like, come on. Like, you'd be crazy. But like I was listening to Big E was just on Oral Sessions with Renee Paquette yesterday, so I was listening to while I was at work, and he said like
I'll have to listen to that.
leading into the split, he was against it, but he says getting the split was one of the best things that could have happened to him because it made him go out and be his own performer, and look where he is now.
Right. Well, and that they almost this isn't like obviously a good thing, but they almost lucked out with these injuries.
Yeah.
They got to, Xavier got hurt for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So then they got to split up a little bit. Kofi got to be the man for a little while. Then Kofi got hurt. No offense to Xavier, but Xavier's not a heavyweight champ.
He's not a heavyweight champ, but he can still hold his own. Like his match against Bobby Lashley were amazing.
Was really good. And all that's good, but it those are like almost like in a bad way helped.
Mm-hmm.
Those injuries. Because like you imagine if there wasn't that for the last 2 years, and it was still the three of them every week. I wonder,
I think it still would have got. I think Big E still would have ended up being champ at the end of the day.
I think so too. I mean, I think they've wanted to pull the trigger before, and it's just never been in the cards. Like,
yeah,
that's how it is. It's a WWE.
And, like his lead up going into cashing in, like early in the day. Now you could look at it, and perception is reality, as Bully Ray likes to say. But I mean, it really came off as an answer to what happened with AEW right before.
Sure, I saw it more as I saw it more as a Monday Night Football thing. I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
It is more likely a Monday Night Football thing than it is an AEW thing, if I'm being honest. But
and that night,
AEW's in Vince's head now.
I do agree with that, but I do say that night the Green Bay Packers were playing, and they are the top 3 most loved team in this country.
Yeah,
maybe number 1 for football.
Over the Cowboys, really?
I would say it's probably tied. Yeah, I would say it's
New
Cowboys.
England's still the most hated, though, right?
What did you say?
New England is still the most hated.
Now that Brady's not there, I don't think anybody cares about him anymore.
Good point.
That's why they 2 years ago. You'd be correct.
Yeah.
But the Packers were on that night. And I think and it was Aaron Rodgers. And America loves them and loves Aaron Rodgers. So I thought that was a big one. But yeah, that week of AEW, I mean, what are you gonna do? They put a pay-per-view on TV?
Yeah, pretty much.
How do you compete?
You don't
put a 2-hour pay-per-view on free TV.
You do. You go back to Britain next year. No, like it was awesome watching it happen because he wins, and then you see Twitter blow up with everybody from AEW, from NWA, from Impact, from WWE saying, dude, congrats. This dude is loved by everybody. And I don't know if you saw the aerial shot of when he won. Did you see how fast Woods and Kofi were booking to the ring?
No, I didn't. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, it's just like they were like tripping over each other to get there. Like they were booking it.
It felt like every other big title change you felt coming on TV. Like it made me feel like it wasn't on this grandiose, but when Goldberg and Hogan were in WCW, everybody in that audience knew it.
Yeah.
But there was still that tinge of like, but it's Hulk Hogan. Like they could screw Goldberg really easy on this. And it felt like that in like that last 30 seconds of the Lashley Big E match, you almost feel it in the audience. They're like, is it going to happen? Is this going to happen here?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. It just happened that day. And it's Big E.
It wouldn't have been right without Xavier and Kofi there. It wouldn't have been. Like, it would have been awesome, but it just felt right for him to win it with his brothers there with him.
And it's cool for the historical context that a African-American wrestler beat the other African-American guy for the heavyweight title, which is awesome.
Yeah, for the first time ever.
First time ever.
Think about it, is this? It's like, whoa.
There's like 5 African-American heavyweight champs, which is ridiculous in the modern era. Like that's crazy.
But there is one really cool thing that came out of that, and this is actually now the banner on my Twitter.
Ooh, let me see. Yes.
Oh, that was just an amazing, amazing shot.
It is such a good shot. And again, Roman feels so big time.
And you remember like how the quality of matches we used to get between the New Day and the Usos. Now
Yes.
you're adding the big dog, the head of the table into that.
Yes.
Whew. I thought the Shield and the Wyatt family was big back in the day.
Oh,
That's
that
got
was
nothing
awesome.
on this.
Dude, this is going to be great. And you wonder if Survivor Series, if they're going to commit to a 3-on-3.
At the very least, Bloodline New Day.
should.
Very least. But yeah, you have to put in the 13. It just makes
Why,
sense at this point.
why not? Because Big E versus Roman, it doesn't make sense.
No,
Like,
but
because they don't put
Bloodline
the
versus New
titles
Day
on
does.
the line. Yes. Why not put them in there? Because then Roman and Big E don't have to take the pinfalls. So it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can beat Jey Uso.
That's
You can
probably
beat
what they're
Xavier
going to do.
Woods.
I don't think they're going to do. Well, actually, here's what I'm actually wouldn't be surprised if they do. Kofi and Xavier win the Raw Tag Team titles. Then you get to Bloodline New Day at Survivor Series. So you got the champs, the champs versus the champs from each brand.
Correct. That would make sense.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the route they go.
That would make sense. Did oh man, I can't believe this is typical of Raw. RK Bro is the champs right now?
Yep.
Because they just won them off AJ and
Yeah,
Big
about a
Giant
month ago, yeah.
Beanstalk, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder if
I can see it
I wonder
happening.
how they'll get there. Why not? Well, I mean, you got to think too. Come Survivor Series, Roman might not be the champ. Roman has to get through Brock first.
Yeah, you think they're gonna do? No, I don't think they would.
I don't know.
Because Brock is a very smart business. He has a smart mind for the business, believe it or not.
I firmly believe he does. But
yeah,
but if Vince McMahon says, "Hey, Brock, you're taking the title," what's he supposed to say?
But why? Like, I mean, I know it's Vince McMahon we're talking about here, and he would do it. But why would he do it? Like, it makes no sense.
You know what? I will admit, even now, I think Vince would go, "Why? Why would we stop this?"
Yeah.
And again, why not just go for it? Like, let's do it. If they are really building up to the Roman versus Rock match at Mania, like, is the huge speculation, which still seems pretty out there.
Yeah, it's
but
like
we also just got Roman versus Cena that we weren't expecting either. So
yeah, but Rock is a different beast because Cena always still has his foot in the door.
Different beast. But if we did that, why would you have Roman lose? Have him beat Brock twice. Because, I mean, you got to assume a rematch is coming. Because, I mean, Brock isn't losing straight up. He's going to get screwed out of this match if he loses.
Oh, 100%. You think Heyman's going to turn on him?
You would think so.
Yeah.
Why not? Why rock the boat? And Brock's a babyface now.
Heyman did it before. He turned on Brock before at Survivor Series 02.
Perfect. Yeah, because, I mean, it would be so icky if, like, Heyman, like, turned on Roman and went back with Brock. Like, ugh. I've seen it, as we have talked about ad nauseum on this show. I want babyface Brock.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah,
I don't want him with
Mountain Brock.
Yeah. I want him to just have some fun matches against some bad guys. Yeah. Let's go.
And we've seen what Brock's like when he's having fun. Like, if you all remember when he was Money in the Bank champion playing that briefcase like a boombox. Like, he's got the entertaining in him.
Yeah.
Let him roast.
And like I said, I thought the most fun he looked like he was having in the last couple of years is when he was doing them at, like, like when you disliked it, but when he was the champ and they were building for, like, the next match against Seth, and they had to get through that whole year. And they were just like, let's have him wrestle AJ Styles.
Yeah.
And then let's just have him wrestle Daniel Bryan. And then let's have him wrestle Finn Balor. It doesn't really make sense, but it's fun.
Yeah, you're right. It was fun. And I mean, like, I did enjoy the matches we got. It's just, again, I'm not a fan of putting a title on a part-timer, but that's
right.
Neither here nor there.
And now you don't have the title. So if he beats them, who cares? It's Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they wade the waters with Brock. We're gonna, it's going to be interesting to see who beats Roman, because as of right now, I don't think that person exists.
No, like Big E, maybe if they held that cash in, but I'm glad he's on Raw. Yeah, there's nobody, but hey, you never know with the draft. Somebody could come up and be like, that's the guy.
Right? Maybe it's the big switch. I mean, I know we haven't got to AEW yet, but if I'm fantasy booking, they have got to get AJ Styles back to being a babyface.
Yeah.
He needs to be back in the thick of it because when he was the most interesting. This last year with Almost has just been not good. So let's go.
It's not been his best work, but there's been a lot of it that's been entertaining. And I mean, Omos, you can tell he's learning a lot.
Dude, it's amazing that people are like, it was like 2 Mondays ago. I wasn't even watching Raw. I would pull up my Twitter, and how many people were like saying like how much they were into Almost or whatever you say his name. And I was like, Omos. Wait, what? What? Yeah. People are into this guy now?
Yeah, he's believable. Like, he did a spot last night. I can't remember who it was that jumped over the top rope, and Omos was literally like swatted him right in the chest with his hand. And you're like, I'm like, oh, holy shit! Like, he does things like that, and you're like, oh, okay, they got something here.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but people are getting more onto it. I haven't watched probably enough of him because again, I haven't been watching Raw. But
yeah, no, he's definitely worth watching. But you know what? That's enough WWE talk. The talk of the summer was AEW. Sure. Like, I mean, I'm wearing my Punk shirt because they did the impossible. They brought Phil Brooks, CM Punk, back to professional wrestling when you never thought that was going to happen ever.
Yeah, hey, he's having fun. Let's say that.
Yes. Yeah, like listening to him on commentary tonight, you can tell he's having fun.
Yeah. It definitely seems like that was it. I mean, obviously he's coming back for, I'm sure, a good amount of zeros, but
yeah,
he's having a good time, and I think that's really at this point all he cares about.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he feels like it's where he belongs. Like, I love his WWE stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but this it feels right.
And I almost think it's like, I don't think anything he can do in AEW can top that year of
Summer
WWE.
Punk?
I mean, it was classic. I mean,
yeah,
it's really hard to come back 7 years older, and like try to top that. And I don't think that's which I appreciate him for doing.
Yeah,
that he's not trying to, because I don't think he can do it.
No, nobody can, because that's one of those moments in time.
It's a rare moment.
It is a rare moment. It's like they say in Doctor Who, it's a fixed point in time. It was supposed to happen that summer. Right. And it's up there in the pantheon of great periods. Like, you have that. You have the year-long build-up to the Mega Powers. You have Owen and Brett's story. You have Shawn Michaels and Undertaker's story from the 97, right? Austin Rock, like, that is up there now.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, so it's been interesting. I will say it is amazing they almost haven't, I understand, because again, we're getting into it. AEW has pulled a lot of triggers really fast, which we're going to find out if it was good or bad, because I think it's crazy that they've put all these guys on TV right away, because there's a lot going on. And to me, watching CM Punk fight Powerhouse Hobbs for his second match, I don't know if that's the decision I would make, because it's CM Punk. I would go for the jugular with Punk, but not everybody can do that. I mean, we just,
Yeah, I'm just waiting on bated breath for the Punk MJF feud. Fuck.
Oh my Lord. Which is obviously inevitable.
It's gonna happen. It's gotta happen, because you know Punk's looking at him. It's like, I want to see if I can top him with the mic.
Well, and I see that's like Punk's shtick, right? Is like, he wants to. I thought it was almost like, I thought his role was going to be him and Brian's role was going to be reversed. I thought Punk was going to come in as the guy, like, let's take down Omega. I'm CM Punk. I'm the legend here. And let's go. And Brian was going to come in and go, you know what? I want to wrestle Powerhouse Hobbs, because, I think he's a up-and-coming guy. So it's interesting that it's like switched, where Brian's coming in like, I want to be in the main event and wrestle for the title. And Punk's the guy that wants to wrestle for, wrestle Darby and all that stuff.
It makes a little bit more sense to me, because, I mean, Brian literally just wrestled earlier this year, whereas Punk didn't. So, I mean, it makes more sense in the program.
And Brian was at the main event of WrestleMania.
Right. Year. And I'm not going to lie, I only know Bryan Danielson from his WWE work. I've never seen a thing of the American Dragon until he hit AEW, and I'm not going to lie, I'm loving it. Seeing Daniel Bryan curse? Like, come on.
Yeah. That was the shtick, man. I was I got really into Smart Mark Video for about
Mm.
3 years back when I was in college.
Yeah.
And that was when I was buying those ROH, like
Yeah.
Bryan, Owens, Styles
Mm.
DVDs. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty good.
Like
It's good.
I've heard, the Daniel Bryan shtick, I'm gonna kick your fucking face in. I'd heard about that,
Right.
but I didn't know about I have to the count of 5 until I saw it happen. I was like, what that badass.
Right. Again,
Yeah.
it's almost like they are doing the opposite. Like I thought Punk was going to come in and do the
Yeah.
Punk shtick, like, hey, or like kind of be an asshole,
Yeah.
and he's coming in as Mister Unicorns and
Mm.
Balloons, and Brian's the one coming in like I'm better than everyone.
There's after the events of the summer started to unfold, I started listening to a lot more wrestling podcasts. I started listening to Busted Open Radio, which I'm kicking myself for not doing earlier. Started listening to Oral Session with Renee Paquette, and like whenever I'm listening to the AEW guys, there's always one thing that comes across that I love to hear. Everything's got to go through Tony Khan, but Tony Khan is willing to let the performers get creative. And I think that's what separates AEW from WWE right now. And I think that's going to separate it for a long time, because you can tell the wrestlers are having fun because they're getting to express themselves to the fullest.
Sure. I think that also, I mean, again, this isn't defending WWE booking either.
Mm.
I I also think AEW is like freaking all over the place, and maybe they could. But again, it's still young, and again, they are just jamming a lot right now.
I find that they're more honed in now than they were a year ago.
Really, I find it. I mean, even I didn't watch the show tonight. I followed a lot on Twitter.
Yeah.
Obviously, you and I texted through it.
Yeah.
It was, to me, all over the place. Even just watching on Twitter, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, they're just all over the map.
It does not feel like that for me when I'm watching it. For me, it's just like, okay, I'm seeing all the threads. Like I'm getting it. I'm watching a wrestling show.
Right.
Which I think is what we're conditioned to watch at this point after 20 years. We're conditioned to what WWE's given us. We haven't seen, like, myself especially, we haven't seen what we're getting with AEW on the big stage before. So, I mean, and for listening to people like Bully Ray and stuff like that, it's like, that's kind of what it used to be like. But we've been conditioned by WWE for so long to digest what they're given that we forgot, as hardcore fans forgot about that.
Well, and again, when you go 20 years with only WWE, and I mean, you had 2 instances where Impact kind of was relevant, and the one time they were the most relevant, it was Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff and Kurt Angle there.
And not relevant for the right reasons.
No, and everybody watched it and went, oof, this is bad. This is really bad. It's only because somehow more money got injected because Hulk Hogan was there. So I get it. That's a good point. That's very true. But I also think it is because of. So here's an interesting question I want to pose to you.
Okay.
So this last month of AEW, we're all like, everybody's excited. It's interesting. My biggest shock, the fact that they announced Leo Rush has signed with AEW today is just.
But he supposedly retired earlier in the year, but whatever.
Yeah, and again, like, I was like, did you think back like a year ago when who was like running it? It's like Sonny Kiss, Orange Cassidy, Jake Hager. These are like the main event guys. Where is their place now? Because they have signed a lot of talent, a lot of big name talent, and they have guys that have broken through. Darby broken through. Jungle Boy's broken through. MJF, which he was kind of already there.
He was already through.
But guys have broken. Hobbs has done a good job. Guevara pretty much had to break through too.
And he did, because spoilers tonight, he won the TNT championship from Miro.
Right, which is awesome. Good for him. And I'm thinking, I think so far the number one guy that's done well in AEW has been Miro. I think it's been spectacular
100%. He's benefited the best from leaving WWE.
I think he has. I think he's one of the guys I make arguments for. Like, this guy is benefiting. From this. But I mean, you got Aleister Black, and you still have Bucks and Omega on top. I'm not taking AEW Dark into consideration. I'm not taking a YouTube show that has like a couple 100,000 views. I'm talking on TV that a million people watch. They have all these people that were on the show last year that there is no room for anymore.
Yeah. No, here's like me looking at it because I really only started watching it earlier this year full time. The first show I ever AEW Dynamite I ever saw was right after Brody Lee passed away. First one I ever saw, and I was like, okay, I dig it, but it took me another couple months to actually start watching. But one of the things I've noticed is, well, actually, I've also been hearing it, is that it's a very much a team mentality. That whole everyone's out for their spot like it used to be back in the day doesn't exist anymore. Now no, seriously, that's what the vibe I'm getting from people like CM Punk when they're talking about it. It's just like everyone's here to help everyone out. They want to put forward the best product properly. So I don't think, well, yeah, they must be bummed that they're not getting as much TV time as they did. I mean, in the end, it's still getting them more. But in the end, it's still getting them more.
Hangman Page was supposed to be in the title picture, and now he's kicked out because Christian showed up, Brian showed up.
That's not why.
I know he's out and he's hurt a little bit, and he's had the kid.
No,
I get it.
That's why.
I get it. But that was all happening before that happened too. Like, why? People think Hangman Page is coming in and winning the title. I see that happening 0% chance. Because
I think he's going to win. I think he will win eventually.
Okay, eventually, but now people still think now because he's still owed a title shot.
No,
0% chance he's coming in to win the title. Because why would they? Give it to Brian. Give it to Christian Cage. Give it to these people who are way bigger names than right now Adam Page is.
But that's when you bring in Adam Page, have him win a feud to get back in the title picture, and then have him win it off of one of those established stars.
Sure.
Could you imagine Hangman Page winning it off of Daniel Bryan? Like it's going to happen.
Fan. He's awesome. Yeah.
No, me too. And I don't know. So maybe I'm just looking at it a little differently, but to me, it seems perfectly balanced. If I'm being honest,
sure.
It's a good mixture of the old guard and the new guard.
But that's I think. Oh yeah, and I think the way I'm saying it is, it's the old quote unquote old guard for the 2 years it's been.
Thanks, Taco.
Hey, this is only because you know Taco more than me, Soda more than me, Taco. This doesn't count, and I don't have a name that goes with a fast food item like you two do. So
yeah,
can't take it. But yeah, no, it'll just be because, like I said, like Hobbs and a few of these other folks, they have established themselves as good talents. But it's going to be interesting because there's a lot of people on this roster. And again, not everybody's going to, but I think that's a good thing because I think it's showing that it is what it is. The demand is there. The demand is there for Adam Cole.
But also the people want to be there.
Right.
Like you listen, I don't know if you've listened to anything from Ruby Soho after she debuted.
No, I'm not gonna lie to you. I try to stay away from all the AEW guys jumping ship from WWE and just talking about how much they hated WWE and how can't wait to
here's
see
the thing. None of them have said they hated it. They all said they loved. It's true. Daniel Bryan even wrote the thank you piece.
Brian's was good, and I've heard Soho was good, but the last
Adam Cole.
I'm talking the last couple, sure, but I'm not talking about all the other ones like.
Yeah,
Carl Anderson that I have to listen to on Twitter bitch about it every 3 days.
Those guys are putzes. No offense, they are when they're serious. They're great wrestlers. I take the Good Brothers away, please.
Those two dudes. If I could fire 2 dudes from AEW, it would be them.
Or make them change their gimmick. Like, come on,
go away. No, go away.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I didn't hear about Soho's shtick. I don't know. Sorry, go.
What she said was, and this is actually parallel to my life a little bit, but she said it was nice to walk into a place and actually feel like you belong. Like she said, she had she made a lot of great friends in WWE. She wouldn't take away her time from there, but it's just like she walked in and everyone was so welcoming and inviting, and it immediately was just like a massively positive thing. And she's like, why wouldn't I want to be here? And that's the vibe I'm getting from a lot of people.
Sure, but it's still fresh, right? It kind of makes me think of, hey, I'll take it. I'll take it. It's still fresh too, because a lot of people are still making parallels to like early ECW. Yeah. That was, if you listen to any of them guys, it was a family. They were there to fight. But 5-6 years into it, sure, don't get me wrong, Paul Heyman was also not a son of a billionaire. So that they take that into account. But eventually that family started to fragment. Guys left. Guys went to different contracts. Some guys didn't feel like getting hit with chairs every single night. And we're like,
And they went to WWE where that happened anyways.
Right, but or I could go to WCW and get buried, but take a big old contract like Sandman did.
But
And
see, that's where the big difference between I think WCW and AEW is AEW has the mistakes WCW made to learn from. Plus, you have people working for Tony Khan that were there who know what not to do. Arn Anderson, Dean Malenko, those guys, Sting, right? Like they were there. They're like they know what not to do. So that's why I'm more confident because you have history to look back on.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not against it. Again, it's helping WWE up their game a little bit. Not enough, but at least some.
This is where I stand on it. AEW is not gonna put WWE out of business because it's never gonna happen. Will they take
never gonna happen.
fans? Will they take fans? 100%. Because they're catering to more the people that just want to watch wrestling. Whereas WWE is not for people like me much anymore. Does that make sense?
Oh no, I get it.
Well, I still enjoy the matches, but a lot of the stories and stuff is just not for me. Whereas AEW, it caters to, it makes me remember why I love it to begin with.
Sure, but I think the amount of people that want to watch that is currently. I don't think there's anybody left to go to AEW.
We're never going to see the numbers we did 20 years ago.
But I don't think AEW gets to like. I don't want to get into ratings because that's ridiculous. Yeah. But I don't think AEW can get the viewers that WWE ever will, and it's not even because of that. Because like I have buddies who are super casual fans.
Yeah,
they do not. I had one buddy who watched one episode of AEW, and he texted me. He's like, "I'm out." He's like, "Don't like this." He's like, "I think this is really stupid." He goes, "A couple of these guys are too small. I can't watch them." And then he also pointed out how out of shape Jericho was, and he couldn't watch him anymore.
Well, Jericho's also 50.
Right. But I get it. But he's still on TV, and that's. But that was what he said. He was like, "I can't watch this." He's like, "This is not good." He's like, "I think this is stupid," and he'll just continue to watch SmackDown every week.
So which is fine. Like I mean, it is what it is. Like everyone is allowed to like what they're like, but this is not the same TNT that it was 25 years ago, right?
Right.
Because that's one of the things you kept hearing from Eric Bischoff was. The board of directors didn't want to let them do anything to push the envelope. Where now it sounds like TNT's like, you do your thing.
Unless you smoke on TV.
Yeah, unless you smoke on TV or potentially, call out somebody's mental health. Like I'm sure there's a few instances like what we were talking about with MGF earlier, where they'll be like,
the school shooter line.
But,
I'm sure
for the most part, it feels like it's a different relationship with AEW than what TNT had with WCW.
Oh, I mean, that's obvious. Yeah.
I mean, because WCW was owned by the people that owned TNT at the time. So they could tell them what to do. Not the case anymore.
Right. And I agree with you, though. I totally agree. They found the 800,000 people that have been sick of WWE for 15 years. Yeah. They want an alternative, and they got it. And they took, and AEW did what they did. And this group of dudes who got popular doing this, the Young Bucks, Omega, Bryan, Punk, they brought them all in. It works. I get it. These people, trust me, I'm just as depressed about WWE sometimes as the next person. And I see it, but I'm also not going to pretend like this is not you, Soda. But you're on Twitter plenty. I'm not going to pretend that every single thing AEW does is the most perfect thing that a wrestling show has ever done.
No, of course.
You've seen on Twitter, some people think no matter what they do, it is the greatest show. It's the greatest wrestling a human being has ever seen on this planet.
Yeah,
and
but that's Edmund time in 2021, really.
Not WWE. I don't know who's saying that about them.
But like that is similar to like what you see in like Star Wars, where it's like the prequel, right?
That's
or
true.
Marvel, or that's kind of what I meant, not comparing AEW to WWE.
Sure,
but
just
this
in
is
general.
my favorite thing to come out of this. Is now I don't have to flip the channel anymore if I want to watch one or the other. I can watch wrestling on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah, I thought
that's why I think it's not a war like it was the Monday Night Wars. Now it's just it's not a war, but now AEW's planted their flag saying we're not going anywhere yet.
Right, and I think the best thing for both shows was the Wednesday. AEW's ratings, yes, they brought in Punk, have been better since NXT left. Of course they have.
Of course.
People aren't flipping the channel or picking and choosing. And NXT's number last week was good for NXT.
Yeah.
They pulled almost like 800,000, I think, last week.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah,
I agree. I think it's more or less.
While I'm sure
Rampage at 10 o'clock is a tough sell, though, on a Friday.
While I'm sure, yeah, no kidding. That's why Rampage is kind of tough, like 10 o'clock. Yeesh. But that's why, like, I don't think.
That's why it's tough for me.
Yeah, luckily I get it earlier. But no, that's what I was gonna say. Like, that's why I don't think AEW is gonna drive WWE out of business, and WWE is not gonna drive AEW out of business because they're not crossing the streams on anything. There's
not
no.
Really. They're crossing the streams with literally, I would guess, 250,000 viewers.
Yeah,
and that's not very much.
But what I mean by crossing the streams is like you don't have the 2 shows on Monday, you don't have the 2 shows on Wednesdays anymore. Now this, and I hope this actually happens. Now I want to see it, like what NXT and WWE pay-per-views used to be, where it's just like top that motherfucker. That's what I want to see come out of this.
Right.
I want to see. Let's see you top this.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if I thought they did a good job on SummerSlam, but I mean,
me too.
But WWE
with a couple of messed up decisions, as we discussed a couple episodes ago, but
WWE needs to get rid of these gimmick pay-per-views. That like I think that's a whole sides thing.
Yes,
but
please,
all of them. I think the only one that needs to stay is Money in the Bank. It's the only one.
I actually would make an argument for Elimination Chamber, but because I like the idea of the winner of the Elimination Chamber facing the other champion at WrestleMania.
Correct.
That's why I like it.
That's the only. I'll take that one too, because I am a big fan of the Chamber. But get rid of the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view. Get rid of Extreme Rules, which is stupid. My gosh, you're still doing a pay-per-view 15 years after you took an ECW pay-per-view and put it as a one-night stand and then made it Extreme Rules.
Yeah,
get rid of it.
With 1 Extreme Rules match on the card this year.
Oh gosh, that's so WWE. That's so sad. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see like what they come up with to go against. The big push that AEW does have right now.
And that that's when Vince McMahon is at his creative best, is when he has competition. But I hope it's not too little, too late. I hope he's not past his creative prime.
But again, as you've said, the AEW can. I mean, at least in the very near or distant future, even catch up what WWE is doing.
Sure.
Does Vince and Nick Khan care?
No.
Like they're making $250 million a quarter,
and still releasing a bunch of people for budget cuts. But that's besides the point,
right? I mean, yeah, it is what it is, right? I gotta put my laptop in.
Yeah.
So anything else on AEW that's catching you?
Well, I mean, it's nice to see Adam Cole in AEW because he was great in NXT. Don't get me wrong, but he
was great in AEW or in NXT.
Oh, he was the best. He was the best part of NXT, but it's another one where it's like, okay, he fits here.
I'm not a Young Bucks guy, so it's going to be a little tough for me.
I'm a Young Bucks in the ring guy. I'm a little on the fence about the gimmick.
In the ring, I'm okay, but the gimmick is I don't, as you know, as I kind of told you in our texting tonight, I don't like the wink at the camera all the time.
Yeah.
I don't mind it once in a while, but the Bucks are winking at the camera at every moment of every day.
Yeah,
every
playing
BTE,
work.
They're doing something, or something. Like they just can't not, and that's what just drives me up the wall.
But if you want to see
Cole.
Great Young Bucks wrestling, like check out the cage match against the Lucha Dragons from the last review. Like, that's one of the rare. I think that's the only time I've ever watched it live and actually went back like within a day to watch a match.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The Bucks are they are good at what they do.
Great in the ring, yeah.
And they're half the reason why this fan base exists.
100%.
I mean, they were the anti-WWE guys for years and years, and they made a living before this off of it. It was crazy.
Yeah, totally. So now here's a question. Now here's a question for you. Do you think we're going to see Bray Wyatt or Wyndham Rotunda debut on Rampage?
Isn't it like in his hometown?
It's in Brody's hometown.
Yeah.
There's
Brody's
rumors that
hometown, that's
there's
right.
rumors that
I mean,
he had reached an agreement with WWE to be let out of the 90-day no compete clause early, which people have done before.
yep. Right. It wouldn't surprise me. Again, one thing that AEW does have, and again, like you say, it's the family thing. There is friends on both sides of the aisle here. A lot of people were. I remember I was one of the people that thought WWE might keep Adam Cole, like he might take the offer. But the big reason why I said he wouldn't, his girlfriend is in AEW.
Well, not just
Why
that,
would
his
he
best friends are in his best friends as well.
Right, and Wyndham has the same thing. And
Yeah.
again, it's like Punk and Bryan and Cole and these people. They were just in WWE for how many years was he there? 7, 8?
Who, Bryan?
No, Wyndham.
Punk? Oh wait! Oh geez, he
8, 10 years.
First WrestleMania was WrestleMania 30, so about 7, 8 years. Yeah.
Okay.
On the main roster, like, and then there was the NXT as well.
Why not? And again, I don't know what. I'm assuming Khan is paying these people more than Vince was to work less. Who would say no to that?
Yeah, no kidding. But there's breaking news. There's a huge match announced for next week's Dynamite.
Is that ladder one?
Nope. Sammy Guevara will be defending the TNT title against Bobby Fish, who issued the challenge on Twitter.
That's not a surprise. Again, no offense. It's another. They announced Leo Rush signed today.
But it could also be a one-off too, because some people just come in to work dates and what have you. Like Brian's contract is he can go wherever he wants to do programs and leave for a while. So who knows? Maybe more people are getting contracts like that too.
Maybe, but that is my one thing is that if it'll be funny if after Wednesday it's Bobby Fish is all elite, and I'm still gonna ask on this this show every 2 weeks. I'm gonna go, where are these people gonna wrestle? The roster is huge. There's so many people on it. You just got to pick a lane and go with it. But again, if a guy is going to pay you, you're not going to say no.
And I mean, if FTR can work Dark Evolution, anybody can. Because FTR does wrestle on those.
Well, and it is funny that the first people to kind of openly bash AEW 2 months ago was FTR. Dax was putting. Did you see any of his tweets?
Well, was it during when he got injured?
No, it was during when he got injured, and he was like saying how he was kind of like he was retweeting Cornette, and he was like tweeting like, "Yeah, we understand that we aren't wrestling," because like up until like 2 months or a month and a half ago of his injury, they'd only been on Dynamite 3 times this whole year.
Really?
Yeah, and he started tweeting those things like, "Hey, you should go back. I don't know if you should Google him," but he started like kind of bashing, like not straight up, but he was just like, yeah, we aren't there. And now they've been on TV every week for the past month and a half since he's been back. So, I mean, I think he was like the first guy to openly start saying like, hey, we're not being used the way we want to be used.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I think of all the people, I thought they had the best reasoning considering they got brought in.
Totally.
And then they lost immediately to the Bucks, and then they were never even remotely in the conversation again, which is weird. But that's cool. I like.
They did become tag champs,
but not against the Bucks.
Who did they beat?
Was it no? They did beat the Bucks.
No, then they beat Hangman and Omega. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, because remember the whole thing was it was like, oh, who's going to be the best tag team in the world? And then they wrestled once, Bucks beat them, and then they never wrestled again. Which. That's wrestling.
Yep, that is wrestling. Folks.
Hey, I do like Bobby Fish though. I'm excited.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like he's one I wish I saw more of in NXT. It feels like I didn't. Out of all of the Undisputed Era, it seemed like he was the one that wrestled the least.
He was the one that wrestled the least, and he was like the one I liked the most.
Yeah. Well, he was also
of the 3.
But yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, but. That is the end of our episode. My throat's going. We've been at it for an hour. I'm sure Dustin is.
I know I'm out of beer.
Yeah. So once he's out of beer, that's the end of the episode.
End of the show.
So, dude, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at Dustin Dubuque on Twitter. Like I say every time, I tweet wrestling, Schmodown, and football. That's about it. Maybe movies here and there. Other than that, I'm not that important. So does the man with all the shows. So follow all his stuff and Schmoes of the North and all these fun things.
Yeah, and you can find me on my personal Instagram and Twitter at soda_the_saxman. You can find me on every goddamn show on this channel. Tomorrow night, on Thursday, September 30th, join myself, Ben Rayner, and our special guests, 50 Shades of Geek, and Jess all the way from New Zealand. We're going to be tier ranking the Doctor Who companions. Check that out. It's going to be a full-sized episode because we're going to be covering a lot of companions. So check that out. That's live at 6 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. So on behalf of myself and Dustin, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, and we will see you next week on the Squared Slice. Stay sweaty, everybody.